Hello BookTube, Chris here, doctor who's summarising a book. Now you've all dealt with difficult people, but let me give you some tips to help you deal with them even better. These are the people who kind of bring you down with negativity, criticism, and even can make you feel angry. They would often refuse to cooperate, irritating, frustrating, annoying people that really you'd rather not see in your life. Well, there's a few options. This isn't the one I'd recommend. Nothing against Southern Comfort, but there's better ways of dealing with people other than with drugs and alcohol. Let me tell you how. You see, you can't directly change other people's behavior. That is the fundamental thing to know. You can only change how you respond and deal with other people's behavior. So actually, firstly, consider different ways in which you may want to try and deal with difficult people, and perhaps try and understand why you react in a certain way towards them. Consider expectations, and you may have particular beliefs that other people should do this, they should behave in a certain way. But other people may have different beliefs and just think they can't actually make you do anything. So you can still behave in a certain way that is true to you in terms of how you feel. Other people are not responsible for how you feel. You are. Remember that. So don't get dragged down by others. And it's actually a part of taking responsibility for one's own actions that will help you manage difficult people even better. Because then, if you can take responsibility for your own responses, those are things that you can manage, you can influence and direct your responses. So after you're thinking about how and why and other people behave in a certain way towards you, you may actually think about what you can learn, what strategies can actually help cope with them. I'll tell you a few about these, but one of the first most fundamental ones is actually to listen to them. If you can listen to what they say, then actually it may help you understand and perhaps even reach some kind of compromise. You can choose whether to tell other people what you think, how you feel, and what you believe. So even if you encounter a difficult person and the encounter didn't go the way you'd wish for, don't feel guilty about this. Just simply reflect. There's no need to be resentful or angry against that person. Think, well, the next similar situation, how could I respond and deal with it differently? So perhaps a similar situation, the outcome is better for all next time. So try and be calm, confident, and it's important to actually stand up at times to other people and also walk away, holding true to your own values. And perhaps if you do that, people are more likely to treat you with the respect that you deserve. And if you can understand that reason why the other person is being difficult, then it will help you deal with them. Because it's not always easy to tell if just somebody is being deliberately difficult or if it's just you who's struggling to deal with that person. And at times, it's not what other people do that's difficult, it's actually how you interpret it. So let's talk about values. Your values are what you live your life on. And these can act as an anchor and can be useful to support and stabilize you. And they can reflect also your expectations about how others should behave. And remember, the other person may have completely different values to you, so you can't really realistically expect somebody to behave in a certain way that is congruent with your values. So if, for example, being reliable is important, you'd expect other people to be reliable, to do what they say they do and to turn up on time. But if that isn't important to them, they may just not do it. And rather than getting annoyed or disappointed or angry with them, you have to really just accept this. Because problems will occur if you expect a higher level of action or reaction than the other person is willing or actually capable of giving. Therefore, try to avoid too high expectations of others, and in fact just stay in a place of positive expectations. And that's a potentially powerful way to deal with difficult people. If you have a positive expectation, you're more likely to enter that encounter in a frame of mind that will lead it to a productive encounter for all involved. Personal rights are what you perceive to be correct, just, or appropriate way of being treated. And that also includes on what you believe you're entitled to. And when you stand up for your rights and guard against ill treatment from other people, it can actually be empowering and can boost your confidence and will actually help you stay true to your own values. Communication tips, really listening I've mentioned, but active listening. Using open-ended questions and often pulling back and summarising what the other person has said. This confirms understanding, and that confirmation provides clarity, and it also shows that the other person is being listened to. What they've said, you're acknowledging, and you can then respond accordingly. But try to only respond to what is relevant. And that's where there is this balance between moving a discussion forward proactively and descending into an argument. And when you're reflecting back, the other person then can actually confirm your understanding, or they can refute this. Just because you've reflected back what somebody has said doesn't necessarily mean that you've agreed with them, but it shows that you've listened. Also, try to match your body language to what you're saying. So if you were to look down and say, I'm really happy, that would be an extreme case, but clearly that's not right. So if somebody is saying something and their body language isn't matching what they're saying, you may have to think, why is this? Perhaps they're not even telling the truth. A lot of difficult people, sadly, you're going to have to negotiate with them and really try to find a ground for a common solution as possible. Something, perhaps an alternative way where there's a benefit for both parties. And that may not be just, say, money, it could be time or a delivery date of something. And remember, when you're actually having these discussions with difficult people, you can potentially choose the time and place. If you're surrounded by strangers or somebody's very angry, you don't have to respond immediately. You can walk away. Particularly if you're thinking that the other person may become violent, it's best to walk away and protect your own personal safety. Because what you want to do is get an appropriate time and place. Don't have an issue festering. You want to tackle it as soon as possible, but in the right environment. And you also don't have to necessarily tell the other person the consequences of what they will have if they don't comply with you. But if you do explain consequences, particularly in a threatening manner like that, you have to then follow through with these and also take responsibility for these consequences. They may well have a negative impact on you as well. So a lot of this is about taking responsibility. And a little last tip I'd say is that when you're speaking with somebody, try and say I rather than you. So if, for example, you accuse somebody and said, you make me feel this way, well, we've learned earlier what I've just said. You can choose how you feel. It's how you respond to a particular thing. But if I say to somebody, you do this, then they can say, no, I don't. Whereas if I say, I feel in this certain way, the other person's less likely to challenge or argue with that. Because rather than saying, you always let me down, I feel always let down. And it's slightly different. It's a shift. And it also just tries to shift that responsibility. Instead of blaming the other person, you're taking responsibility of your own actions. and those are the things that you can control when dealing with difficult people. I hope you've liked that. I summarise lots of books, so feel free to explore the channel, and I'll see you next time.